Welcome to In the Moment with Kortia, where we inform, inspire, and motivate you to be a positive agent of change. Good morning to everyone. And look, if you didn't realize it, it's time for you to walk into your season. What? Walk into your season? Yeah, walk into all that God has in store for you. And I tell you, I really didn't catch it, but I was at a women's conference that our church was holding, and all of a sudden, was out there and got up, went in to do a little usher work for the ladies up in there. And all of a sudden, I came in kind of on the tail of it. And when you looked at it, it's like they were trying to stomp on things up in there. But then, afterwards, I heard the message, and it was called Walking Into Your Season. So, look, I know a lot of you ladies out there have already decided to walk into your season. Men, are you walking into your season as well? Is everyone finally decided to walk into their season? But you know something? How are we actually going to walk into our seasons to see exactly where we're going at, where we are right now? And look, it goes back to what we were talking about yesterday. So look, we're talking about that today on this, halfway there Wednesday, the power of imagination. Part 2. All right. Because God really gives the download that's actually necessary to for each and every one of us to walk into the fullness of what he has in store for us, to walk into a season. And we've been saying since the beginning of this year at how this is the season. And I mean, you may say, oh, Court, okay, we hear that all the time, abundant harvest, manifestation year, name it and claim it, blah, 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 blah. But I'm definitely going to say that all of you out there, you know who I'm talking to, okay? You just feel something is different on the inside of you. That that all the things that you've laid the groundwork for, it seems like, for some of us, if you're like me and my family, that have been for like years. All the seeds that have been planted, okay? All the plowing that's been done. All the people that you've actually helped. Just whatever you've been done or how God's led you. It just seems like it's culminated to right now to where it's not just you waiting for, the seeds to take root and then, for the blades to come up and then the ears to pop off from that. Right now, it's time for you to just go ahead and start reaping the harvest that God has in store for you. And I'm not talking about just a harvest that's, hey, it's one and done. I'm talking about a continual harvest that increases and is perpetual from right now until God says it needs to end. But guess what? As long as you're doing what God's called you to do, that harvest doesn't end. Oh, man, I just made myself happy right there. But look, we're talking about the power of imagination, part 2. And what I found that's really interesting is this, when it comes to the imagination of, those that are doing what God has actually called us to do. And I'm not trying to put anyone down. I know sometimes we need course correction in our lives, and we have certain things that may be trying to come against us. But look, when we finally get our eyesight on the one that's actually leading God in and directing us, then, it makes it it makes it a little bit easier. And, what I found out exactly in my life, let me see if you can actually relate to this when it comes to the power of imagination. All right. Now, think about this. Your imagination, my imagination, all of our imaginations, it's actually a facet of the image of God. And you might be like, okay, what does that actually mean? All right. Well, your imagination is actually a gift from God if you don't realize that. Okay. We talked about how it leads right into your creativity, how you see things, how things can change from being in this negative light to a positive light. And I mean, literally, like I said, it's an aspect of the image of who God is. And what I mean is that, think about this, and this is really going to just knock you out of your seat right now, okay? How you perceive God. Listen to what I'm saying. How you perceive God, how you see God, how you visualize God, how you think God's working in your life is exactly how you visualize and perceive yourself, all right? So for whatever reason, if you seem like you're stagnant and nothing's actually happening, think about how you think God is, how you actually visualize God moving in your life right now. Do you say, well, God, you're not doing anything in my life? I mean, it just seems like you've forgotten about me in my life. whatever you're pretty much, however you're viewing God is the same things that, or should I say the same things that are actually happening in your life and how you view yourself, okay? There's no shortcuts about that. There's really no other way to verbalize that. And what I really found is that when you have a very low expectation level and, using your imagination about the things that God's going to do in your life, then guess what? What you, quote unquote, are expecting in your life, well, look, it can be days, months, years, and you may be saying, well, Court, look, you've got all of these different things going for you. You talk about you and your wife, all of these things that God's just doing and how God's doing things through you, doing things through your kids, people that you're meeting, people that you're helping, how you're using the radio platform to be a blessing and everything to others. And you can keep saying all of these different things, but we're not going to just get on these airwaves and try to make you think that, hey, this is something that we've been doing all of our lives. I mean, we're literally talking about now what? We received Christ as our Lord and Savior for about 20 years. And you can definitely say that all of this didn't really start manifesting until maybe about 8 years ago. Okay, so look, 12 years before everything started happening, look, we were in, let me just say, knucklehead mode, okay, having to learn everything the hard way. It was our way or no way. And then, when God tried to send someone to tell us, because we wouldn't listen when he was trying to talk to us in our spirits, but so he sent someone to try to tell us something, and then all of a sudden, now I know what you're saying, but look, I've been doing it this way. I'm going to keep doing it this way because I know it works this way. The devil is a liar. And even Einstein even said doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result is the definition of insanity. So, I say that now and I chuckle, but wow, 13 years, okay, 12 to 13 years of our lives and how we did the same thing over and over and refused. I'm not going to say we just decided not to, but flat out refused not to use our imaginations in a creative way to where God can just go ahead and reveal certain things to us. Look, I'm talking to somebody right now in that moment. I know you've got dreams on the inside of you, okay? I know God has spoke to you in a way to do something. And, it's like you probably saying like I do, should I say I used to do. It's just, wow. Okay, well, that's just a little too simple. Okay, God, I need more. Well, all I'm asking you to do is go ahead and speak to a particular person and say this. But we start talking about, well, what if they don't receive? Or what if they say this? Or what if they get upset at me? Well, how am I going to look in front of them? All I'm asking you to do is say what I told you to say to this particular person. And that's it. But as people, we have to rationalize things. I want you to go into the office today and tell your supervisor that you want the promotion. And you may never know exactly why it is that God may be telling you that. You may not know that for some reason they may have been looking at people for weeks, months, and haven't been able to find that particular individual. But because of your track record, whatever the job, company, or whatever that you're with, they'll look at you and say, well, you know something? We thought about you, but we didn't realize that you actually wanted it because you never showed interest before. But since now we know, hey, yeah, we're going to give you the promotion. See, you never know exactly how these little nudges, these little things about how God just wants to do. And then all of a sudden they may say, hey, using me as an example, hey, Court, what would you do in a situation like that? And you'd be amazed at how God will just quicken your spirit and start revelating things to you through your imagination. Things that you may have already been doing, but he'll just go ahead and amplify it for what you may have been doing just for yourself. He'll like give you a broader vision on how to just go ahead and include more things for the company. And I mean, definitely how you actually see God as far as like operating in your life is, well, like I said, it's going to be a reflection of how you carry yourself in your life. And look, when you have God in the midst of just like, wow, pretty much everything that's going on with you, I'm here to tell you right now that you're going to have some really creative things that are going to happen. Now, how many of you out there right now can say right now, if you're being real, I never saw that coming. I never would have saw God doing something like that. I'm raising my hands. I'm raising my big toe. I'm raising everything, okay? I'm raising everything because, one time I told my kids, if I could float in the air, I've just raised every little part of my body because of how God does things. And I love, like I said this before, how one preacher had told me, he had verbalized, and he said, you know something? When I pray, because of what God's done in my life and the level of my imagination and my expectation, I don't know how he's going to do it, but guess what? I just look forward to seeing how he is going to bring it to pass, how he's going to do it. And that's what it is with that imagination and that creativity. And, you know, I see that some of us, well, we actually get stressed out about thinking about how God's going to do it, how God's going to do it, how God's going to do it. Well, guess what? Stop getting stressed out on how he's going to do it and revel in the fact that he's simply what? Going to do it. Because why? This is your season. This is your time. And you're in the right place, whether you realize it or not, to receive from him. I mean, you really, really are. And look, just stop measuring about things that have happened in the past, how things have never gone about. But look, God's, like I said, speaking to you right now through what? The power of your imagination. And he's letting you know that, hey, his plan has never been aborted for you. You're right on course. And look, we're going to go ahead and take this break, but stay in your moment. Welcome back to In the Moment with Kortia Kuzan. We're talking about the power of imagination, part 2. Hey, wow. I tell you, starting to show off. I mean, like I said, I had myself getting all happy and excited over here this morning, and it wasn't because of coffee. But, you know, God definitely, in this season like we were talking about, I mean, I really am happy because I've seen people that have, as you want to say, put their hands to the plow. And, you know, God has put these different, well, we all have seeds of greatness on the inside of us, whether we realize it or not. But, of course, like we said, it's about each and every one of us accessing it, making a demand on it. And that seed, of course, is the blessing that's on the inside of us. And, you know, we have right now, just what I visualize, we actually have some church members and stuff. I see them there doing different things. I mean, they're getting those books that are on the inside of them, programs, businesses, whatever it may be, they're doing, you know, what God's called them to do. And it's just really putting a smile, you know, on my face. I'm one of those people that like to, you know, watch from the sidelines to, you know, just see exactly what's going on with people. And I'm one of those people that are actually cheering them on, you know, in the spirit, you know, as opposed to in the natural, unless God actually prompts me to do so. And, you know, hey, in case you were wondering, finally we have the awesome and dynamic Jennifer Kuzan joining us on the microphone today.
Good morning, everybody. Yeah. Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Good morning, baby. Good morning.
So let everybody know what I was doing. I was actually working.
Okay, yeah, she was doing some technical behind-the-scenes things, but you know how it is, you know. One flesh, sometimes you get a little lonely on the mic, you know.
I was 3 feet away from you.
Well, look, it was like this big chasm that was over there. Man, I was feeling like this great separation and everything that was happening.
No.
I mean, see, we talking about the power of imagination. I had to start imagining you on side of me and, you know, talking with me.
No,
but,
get back on point.
But, hey,
get back where you were.
Hey, I'm in my moment right now.
No, get back where you were. Get back in that other moment.
Yes, Lord. But look, the power of imagination, you know, and like I said, there are individuals, there are some of you out there, you really are doing what God's called you to do. And I know, look, just like with us in the beginning, you may be doing what God is calling you to do, that urge, that quickening that's on the inside of you, and it just may seem like it's rough going in the beginning, okay? And literally God has to.
It's a process.
See, she came out with it. I think that's going to be her new catch thing when she gets on the mic. She's been saying it for the last 3 days before I can even get to it.
Yeah, well, you know, it's probably because I'm going through my own process.
Yeah, well.
So, you know, you're going through we all go through our own process.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And the thing is, the process never stops. I mean, you know.
Yeah, there's something about that.
And I mean, really, really, you know, and I know we go ahead and, you know, a lot of us talk about, we talk about the process, and a lot of people don't want to hear about process, and a lot of people don't want to hear about work. But guess what? It's something that's actually ongoing, you know, as long as you're able to walk upon this earth. I mean, it's just going to happen, okay?
I don't want to hear about process or work, but I still have to accept the fact that there is a process and there is work.
I mean, definitely. And, I mean, really, in the process of doing what God has called you to do, to where he actually, when you feel like you're kind of stagnant in the things that he's calling you to do, have you ever actually realized, okay, it seems like you're going forth, and I'm like, wow, I'm running full steam, doing what God's called me to do. It may have slowed down a little bit, and you're just like, man, okay, hold on. Did I really hear God right in this particular area? And then it's just like all of a sudden, out the blue, as you'd want to say, unexpectedly, he gives you this little, I don't know, and maybe I'm speaking for myself, this little download as far as like in your imagination that kind of confirms you're on the right path. Or he sends somebody in your path to talk to you in a certain way to where you only know it's God. Or, you know, like he's done with me several times. You get phone calls from 3,000 miles away from people just out the blue, right? And they just say, tell you something from God, what God said, and then they hang the phone up. You know, it's all these creative ways that he does things that's what? Tied right into, you know, imagination. Right. So, you know, don't think it's strange that, you know, through this, as my wife said, process that, that we're going through.
Did that just sound like it was hard and dredging?
No, well, you know, just to put, you know, it's like, what do you do when you're writing something on a computer? You put it in like bold letters and, you know, highlight it, you know, quotations. All caps, you know, just to get someone's attention. And, you know, that's how God likes to really get our attention. I mean, it's really through, you know, our imagination. And I know it's funny. First thing you actually... well, one of the first things you said on yesterday was like, well, when you got into the vehicle this morning, okay, what's the word? What's the word? And, you know, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, and that's because, like,
he mowed the lawn yesterday.
I mowed the lawn. I mean, yeah, you might say, well, man, y'all get up at like 4 o'clock in the morning, you did this, and we didn't get home till what, yesterday till like after 6.
It was like 6:30.
6:30. But I said that if there's enough light, I'm going to get outside and cut that grass. So, you know, I got outside
and just so y'all know, by the time he got back inside, I was already asleep.
Yeah, she was in the bed. Okay,
it was over with for me.
So you were like, man, she must have went to sleep early. No, I was out there cutting grass till it was like 8:30 or something like that.
8:30.
So it was a plan. I had to use my what? Imagination. So and look, you might be laughing.
To see the yard.
Yeah, look. So what I did. The biggest part of the yard, actually, what did I do? I actually went to the front, and I'm like, okay, I got X amount, about a good hour and a half light left, maybe. So I said the roughest part of the yard is the front. So where the sun was shining, I started there, and as the sun started moving, that's how I went with cutting the grass. And so by the time really, that's what I was doing.
So we're going to have her puzzle pieces in the front?
I'm not going to say puzzle pieces, but it's not going to look totally manicured or something. But the grass.
The part that I did see this morning looked very nice.
Well, look at that. And
of course, it was only a small portion of the yard, but it was what was under the light.
Well, see, that's what people actually see. So, you know, that's the part that really looks good. Now, when you go to the back of the house, I can't make any promises about that.
No, that's the part that I saw was the back of the house.
Oh, okay. Well, if you thought that part looked good, then the rest of it looks good.
Well, you know, it was under floodlights.
That's
the only part I could see.
But yeah, but that ties into like imagination. And you might say, well, I mean, imagination brings about creativity. Now, how else would I have been able to say, okay, I've only got X amount of time, you know, already tired, and I'm asking literally, you would actually say, well, you asked God to show you how to go ahead and get the grass cut? Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I asked God about stuff that you would think that's just like, should be like a no-brainer, okay? But it really is exactly, he can actually show you creative ways to do things to really expedite whatever the process that you're going through or fast forward, whatever you're doing as far as like time frame. I mean, that's why some of us out there, we need to actually get creative as far as like in our delegation skills, because it'll really take so much, you know, off our plates. I mean, because...
wasn't there something I delegated to you yesterday?
No, I wouldn't call that a delegation. You tried to throw something off to me yesterday, and I took it like a hammer throwing the Olympics and threw it right back with something I wanted you to do.
No, that's still on your schedule for today.
No. Okay, well, my thing is on your schedule too today. That's all right. That's all right. So, look, she threw something on my plate, and I threw something on her plate. It was way out of our comfort zones for what we threw back on each other's plate. I mean, I had no skill set for either one of those things. But look, God even through that can even show how he can like manifest his glory through that portion of using his imagination or using our imagination. But look, I tell you, definitely right now, like we were saying, and this is not just lip service, okay? You really need to realize that right now you really are in your season for God to really use you, and he wants to really use you through your imagination. So look, definitely when we get right back from break, we're going to get right back into this because I know God has some ways to show you how to get your imagination back. Stay in your moment. Welcome back to In the Moment with Kortia Kuzan. Woo! Wow, the power of imagination. Hey, and if you didn't know, part 2, look, I tell you, God is really doing some things in the studio on today. And, you know, I've got this visual going on right now on the inside of me of some of you just like, wow, I mean, I hear what he's saying. I mean, it's making sense. It's really resonating with me. But, wow, I really don't think I've actually tapped into or really used my imagination since I was a child. I mean, because what ends up happening? You graduate from high school or you finish school, and then guess what? Now it's time to, as they say, really start getting serious. You know, you get the job or you go for higher education, and you get the job after that. And the focus comes on, paying off debts and, all these different things, one day getting married, having a place to live, vehicle transportation, whatever it may be. And then all those things that actually help progress your imagination, it kind of takes, a back seat, or you stop doing those things altogether. And I mean, some of you right now, maybe I really don't know how to, access my imagination again. And, I'm glad that, you may have had that thought, because on this last half of the show, God is wanting me to actually show you how to get your imagination back. And, it's really necessary, because I tell you, there are certain issues that may be going on in your life, but God has creative solutions that he wants to give to you. But why? He's got to give you those solutions in your imagination. And if you're kind of shut off from being able to receive what he actually wants to share with you, then what? You're going to be going and hitting this brick wall all the time. So look, some suggestions as far as like how to really get your imagination back. One is this. Why don't you try new things? I mean, my wife and I yesterday, we were talking about, and we brought this up as far as like with marriage and relationships and dating and stuff, about getting this like box. And it's not just for the box that you get, but you can actually do this for, pretty much every area of your life. So think about, getting that little box. Think about things that you may want to, attempt that really just get those creative juices, churning. Maybe places that you want to go. Get those things inside, getting those things and putting those ideas inside of the box to where, you can go ahead in and possibly, every single day pull outside of the box. And, we actually, the box that we're talking about is, as my wife just brought to my remembrance to share with you, is like, it was this like movie we talked about that was called Old Fashioned, And what ended up happening is that, this man and woman, they were in the process of dating and doing it the right way. And to like make it interesting, because they were so polar opposites from different worlds, she put things down as far as like what she wanted to do for them to experience, and he put things down in a box that he wanted them to experience. And then of course it wasn't that they went with her all the time or went with his suggestions all the time. They creatively like took the boxes and pulled one out each time out of each separate box or what have you, to really get the creativity going and to like keep the relationship growing. And that's really something that you can use right now to actually help spark your imagination. Because if you're doing things that actually spark your imagination, and guess what? Literally, you're opening yourself up and you're saying, hey, God, look, I know that, my imagination comes from you, and it's an aspect of the image of you. So if I open myself up to grow in my imagination, then I'm opening myself up to receive even more so from you. Wow, that's powerful. That just reached somebody right where they are in that moment. So God's just wanting you to try new things, to be consistent in it. And we said before, the definition of doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting, different results is insanity. I mean, And if you actually feel stuck, in a loop, I mean, where you just can't get any creativity or imagination flowing, I mean, try doing the new things. Really, try doing new things. I mean, if you need to you might need to set a particular day in the week where you just try new hobbies, new tools. I don't know, try a new computer program. I mean, do something that's new, that's different. What's that smirk for over there?
No. You said that. I was just thinking about a program that the library's having next week that I threw the kids into to teach them.
Threw the kids into.
I did. I went ahead and didn't tell them I was doing it, and I registered them for classes. They're having a program on writing a simple computer program.
Okay.
Something neither one of them have ever had any kind of association with. So I'm just kind of immersing them in something brand new next week.
I mean, and not only is it going to spark, creativity or whatever from him, and I really feel that it's going to possibly let them know, what can I say? They'll probably have a hunger for it. They have a deeper understanding of actually what goes into like computers instead of, just clicking on Google or something and looking up a topic. All right.
Right. It just gives them another aspect to open them up to see if it's something that they like.
Exactly. And you never know exactly what God will actually be able to use that for. You never know.
Right.
Because if you,
I didn't mean to get off topic.
Oh,
I'm
no,
sorry.
actually it goes right into topic because you never know. It's a new thing, that new thing I was just talking about, all right? Even though, she kind of grabbed a hold of him and threw him up in there, but, it's still a new
thing.
thing.
Wanted to get out the house.
See, look, it's summertime. Parents, it's summertime, so you have got to think of creative and new ways of getting your kids to get stimulated instead of you getting home, I'm so bored. We do the same thing every day. Well, what did you do? Nothing. Well, of course you're going to be bored if you don't do anything.
And I think it's this week that's Mel's basketball camp, and we couldn't just with our schedule.
Yeah,
we couldn't do it for this session, which we usually love throwing them in there. But
she said throwing it. And no, we're not forcefully just grabbing our kids by the arm and saying, you're going to do this.
No, I am. No, our kids love basketball and they love going to camp, but we couldn't do that because of our schedule and the events that we have going on. So. And
they might say, look, they're listening out there. Well, you're talking about imagination. Couldn't you use creativity? Look,
I did. It's next week.
Dun, dun, dun. Amen. But look, sometimes God will allow you to be creative. And look, since I said we want it now type of people, right?
I want it now.
Sometimes that creativity actually has to go to where God shows you how to use your creativity to get what you want, but it has to be in a sequence of maybe not right now, but just a little bit later. Okay?
Right.
And I mean, especially for us adults, that's something that's really evident because what he actually does through, your imagination, your creativity, he actually will show you how to alleviate certain pressures off of your life that may be causing you all type of stress, heartache, anxiety, whatever it may be. But I mean, even in that, we need to realize that when God speaks to our imagination, he's really just showing us another aspect of how much he really, really loves us.
That's right.
Really. And that's like really powerful. And I just got that. I didn't ever thought about that. But really, in God, if you ever actually sat there and thought about in a creative fashion just how much, God just really loves you, it would probably change your life. It really would change your life. And that goes along definitely with that expectation that we have exactly from God. And look, I know that, we've been having a lot and God's definitely been talking to you right now. And I know you're carrying it as far as like in your moment, you've written down things, you're analyzing things, those mental juices are turning. But you know something? Hey, don't just let them turn. Just like, why don't you finally ask the direct and specific question? Okay, God, show me specifically what you want to bring to my imagination. And that's what God's doing right now as he's sparking the power of your imagination on this Wednesday. And look, stay right there with us, and we'll be right back after the break. Welcome back to In the Moment with Kortia Kuzan. Hey, look, woo! I tell you what, we definitely have been having a power-packed time as far as like in the studio today when we're talking about the power of imagination. It's really something, and like I said, you know, God gave me an instruction on yesterday as far as like what I'm gonna say, do something, because we sent prayers out and do something, and with me, it's just like I've said before that God speaks to me, you know, just like my grandfather spoke to me. And, you know, some people will not be able to receive this way. And unless I really need to ask questions, it's like God will tell me something one time and then that's it. Okay, no repeat. And it's always in this stern to the point voice. And he like literally, right as the alarm clock went off, woke me up on yesterday, you know, with just saying, you know, 2 words. And, you know, now I'm in the process of getting some things done as far as like in the area that he's called me to be doing, to do something. Yeah, I'm chuckling in here. My wife is messing with me off the microphone. Well, I tell you, stay on point, all right? Stay on point. But the thing is,
don't try and get loud now.
But the thing is that, you know, how God just wants us to know about, you know, some of us need to really just get back to using our imagination, to get back to how, you know, he wants us, as he says, to come to him as little children. He wants you to have such an openness to receive what he wants to actually show you, that once he shows it to you, it's basically like you get into that mindset like, okay, you know, you don't have to debate it. You don't have to analyze it. You don't have to go ahead and check it with, you know, Sister Watermelon, Brother Cantaloupe, and everybody else out there. You know, you don't have to go ahead and do a Google search on it. You just get within yourself when God just shows you something through your imagination. You just, okay, all right? But, you know, that also builds up, would you say, that builds up to probably your relationship with him, your track record that you have with him. Okay, as my wife, she's going in difficult mode right now. She's really trying to go ahead. And look, you cannot use coffee or anything like that as an excuse this morning.
What were you talking about?
Really? Really? Wow. Okay.
I went somewhere totally different.
She just went mush brain on me. Really?
No, my brain went in a different direction. I was thinking of something totally different from what you were talking about.
Really? Okay.
So I tuned you out. I mean, that's what it boils down to. Not in a bad way. My brain was thinking about something totally different from what you were saying.
Wow. So I said, as far as like for people's like basically to restate it in this way, your imagination or whatever, how God wants to reveal things to you, to whether you're able to receive from him, to where instead of you just trying to analyze and cross-check with everyone and, you know, making sure everything's lined up, to where you just get to that point of just saying, okay.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, you know, and another thing about that with our imagination, it determines how much we can receive from God.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, our imagination is going to limit us. And I know we've said that over the last 2 days, but our imagination and the amount that we can imagine, not just talking, you know, financially, but talking in your calling, in the things he wants you to do from day to day, your relationship with other people. If you can't see it, if you can't imagine it, then it's not going to be able to happen.
I mean, that I tell you, and, you know, like I said, we're not going to get into what God told us, what our overall calling is, but wow, for that, if you don't have an imagination for what God called us to do, oh, my Lord. I mean, you're really going to be stagnant in a lot of different areas. But, I mean, it's just really.
But he's showing us in different ways that we had one idea about it, which was a large idea.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt about it. But he's also bringing it about in different ways that aren't as large. They are, but not on the magnitude where we had it at the time. He's bringing it about a different way.
Yeah, that's true. Does that make sense? Yeah, it does. And he brings it around in ways, you know, when he like reveals to you different things in your imagination, and how I guess you can kind of say we get to this point, yeah, I can see God, how he's bringing it about this way. I've got it right here. You know, it's in my mind. And then, you know, without actually checking with the source first.
Right. You have this already way that it's going to happen.
Right.
And so when he brings it about in a totally different way, the same result,
mm-hmm.
you're just kind of, wow, I never saw that.
Right. The same result. And I would actually even have to say, greater results, putting
Right.
that icing on
Right.
a cake, as you'd want to say. But really, and, getting back to tapping back into using that childlike faith and going back into using your imagination. I mean, it may take you describing things around you in a creative fashion. I mean, something that you may just see as like old or mundane. I mean, you may have a car just sitting out there with rust or something all over. It's like, one day my new car will come. Why not actually, when you get out there, start talking to that new car that you actually want as if it's already in front of you, okay? Using your imagination and the creativity that you have. I mean, you can get a spark of creativity in a level of, well, go ahead, it's all on your face.
Oh, no, I was just thinking silver bullet navigator.
That's it. That's exactly it. And that's an inside joke for us, okay? And then, of course, reading different books. I know some of you might don't have time to read. Well, you know something? When you say you don't have time to read, we have time for the TV, we have time for the cell phones, we have time for all of these different things, but God may actually want to speak to you, well, not may, but always through his word, okay,
That's
the Bible. Right. But then, of course, stories that actually motivate you. And then right now, when you're listening to us, I can definitely say God is turning something on the inside of you to let you know exactly what. He wants your imagination to kick into overdrive. And think about, we're going to end up show with this today. On this note, think about how you want your life to be. If there's no greater way to use your imagination in that capacity. And ask God to download through your imagination to shape, mold, craft, and just show you exactly how he wants your life to be, and then let him show you the creative ways to walk and going towards what he's actually visualizing and giving you. So look, I tell you, it's been awesome today. We've been talking about the power of imagination, and I know God's definitely been keeping you. So look, we just want you to know, if you never knew, God loves you. We love you. My wife says, woo-hoo, and she gives you that air kiss goodbye. But look, stay in your moment, and we'll see you on tomorrow. Take care and God bless.